Welcome back to Football Daily. Today we're running through 10 footballers who fell out of love with the beautiful game. Let's go. 10. Marc-André ter Stegen. It would be a bit harsh to say that Marc-André ter Stegen hates football, but he's far from a fanatic. The Barcelona number 1 is among the world's very best goalkeepers from both a technical and tactical standpoint, and at 28 has already won almost everything there is to win in the game. So it came as a surprise when, in March 2020, he revealed in an interview that he had no idea about football. The German stopper went on to say that he struggles to remember the names of players in La Liga, that he rarely watches games if they don't involve one of his friends, and that at home, conversation centres around his wife's occupation as an architect far more than his as a footballer. And unlike many of his colleagues, ter Stegen's main hobbies include reading and cooking, rather than playing FIFA, but his lack of fanaticism clearly hasn't hindered him in his career. If anything, it sounds like the Barca man enjoys a healthy relationship with the game, but we wouldn't put any bets on him staying in football after retirement. 9. Gareth Bale. But one man whose commitment to the sport has been questioned in the last couple of years is Gareth Bale. As this goes out, the Welshman's move back to Tottenham promises to see him regain his hunger on the pitch, something which had very much been lost under Zinedine Zidane at Real Madrid. Injury problems saw Bale lose his place as an automatic starter during Zidane's first stint as manager at the Bernabeu, with the Frenchman placing far more trust in Benzema and Ronaldo up top. And following the 2018 Champions League final, in which he came off the bench to win the match, he made public his dissatisfaction at not starting every week, suggesting he was open to leaving the club. A year down the line, and with Zidane back in the dugout, Bale cut an even more alienated figure at the club, and 2 months before a move to China fell through said, "If they want me to go, they'll have to pay me 17 million euros a year. Otherwise I'll stay. Doesn't matter if I don't play, I'll just play golf." By this point, Bale's penchant for a round was well known, and after securing qualification with his country for Euro 2020 later that year, held a now infamous banner reading Wales, Golf, Madrid, in that order. Bale made just 6 La Liga starts after that, and by the end of the campaign looked increasingly uninterested on the bench. It's fair to say that before his latest move, the 31-year-old's passion for club football seemed almost completely dead. 8. Carlos Tevez. Like Gareth Bale, Carlos Tevez also turned to golf when he hit difficulties in his football career. In September 2011, after supposedly refusing to come on as a substitute for Man City against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, manager Roberto Mancini branded his career at the club finished. Tevez didn't play again until the following March, spending much of that time back home in Argentina, where he was regularly photographed on the golf course. He eventually made amends with Mancini, and the following season contributed to more league goals than anyone else at the club, going on to achieve more success at Juventus and back at boyhood club Boca Juniors, where he remains a key figure in 2020. But his passion for golf has never gone away. In 2012, he even caddied for Argentinian golfer Andres Romero, and has regularly been spotted with a club in hand while on holiday. And in 2018, he effectively confirmed which sport he was more invested in as a fan, saying in an interview, "I don't like football. If Barcelona Real Madrid is on, I change the channel to watch golf." 7. Dani Osvaldo. A player who took the term rockstar footballer quite literally, Dani Osvaldo was an undoubtedly fantastic striker on his day, hitting an impressive 17 goals for Roma to finish 3rd in the Serie A scoring charts in 2012-13. But his disregard for the game was there for all to see. While in the Italian capital, he punched teammate Eric Lamela, and while at Southampton headbutted José Font in training. By 2016, having fallen out of love with the game, he cut his career short to pursue his dreams in the music business, and within a year he and his band have released their debut album, which he personally gave to Lionel Messi. However, after 4 years, Osvaldo seemed to have recovered some of his passion for football, returning to Argentinian side Banfield over 20 years after playing for their youth side. 6. Christian Vieri. Once one of the world's most coveted strikers, Christian Vieri's £28 million move from Lazio to Inter Milan in '99 broke the transfer record at the time, and he would go on to score 123 goals for the Nerazzurri, ranking 9th in their all-time scorers list. But while he never expressed a specific dislike for football, even when he was at the top of his game, the Italian was dreaming of another career. Growing up in Sydney, Vieri also had a love for cricket, and in 1998 revealed that his childhood hero was not Paolo Rossi or Toto Schillaci, but Australian batsman Alan Border. And in an interview 5 years later, the man known as Bobo proclaimed, "I would stop playing now to play cricket if I could get the same contract." Considering he was right at the top of his game at the time, that was quite a statement, but bearing in mind the sheer strength of Australian cricket in the 90s and 2000s, his chances of a decent career there were probably limited, while Italy has never made its mark on the international scene. Whether he liked it or not, Vieri was meant to be a footballer. 5. Benedikt Höwedes. A World Cup winner with Germany in 2014, where he was one of just 3 players to play every minute of the tournament, Benedikt Höwedes' career is somewhat underrated. He also played a key part in Schalke's run to the Champions League semi-finals, as well as their victory in the DFB Pokal, their last piece of major silverware in 2011, and captained the club from then on. Funnily enough, since his departure in 2017, Die Königsblauen have lurched from crisis to crisis, with no clear leadership on the pitch. And just 3 years after leaving the Veltins Arena, the defender decided to hang up his boots at just 32 years of age. Having been hampered by injuries at Juventus, the German defender noticed he was taking longer to recover from games, and having become a father, he no longer valued the sport as highly as he once had. In an interview with German publication Der Spiegel, Höwedes spoke about how being on holiday with family and spending time with his son made him suddenly realise that football felt unimportant to him, and that with no glamorous lifestyle to hold up, he didn't feel a need to carry on in the game. 4. Andre Schürrle. 2 weeks before Höwedes announced his retirement, former Germany teammate Andre Schürrle also decided to pack it in, just days after being released by Borussia Dortmund. However, unlike the former Schalke man, Schürrle hadn't even hit his 30th birthday, and his decision to retire shed a far more negative light on the world of football. The provider of Mario Götze's winner in the 2014 World Cup final, and the subject of big money moves to Chelsea, Wolfsburg and Borussia Dortmund, expectations were always high for Schürrle, and he was often singled out for criticism by the media, while former teammate Toni Kroos also noted that he was not as full of self-confidence as some of his peers. And the forward himself was honest about the mental effects of such public scrutiny, saying, "If things aren't going well at the club and you're playing like rubbish, you don't have the courage to walk through the city." On retirement, Schürrle revealed that he thought about it for a long time, and that by the end, he was experiencing tougher lows and fewer highs as a professional. An example of how, despite the many privileges that come from playing the sport at such a high level, footballers are also human, and despite requiring the mental toughness to succeed in the industry, are just as vulnerable as the rest of us. 3. David Batty. Unlike Schürrle, David Batty found pressure and criticism pretty easy to deal with, but that's because he was largely indifferent to everything that came with being a footballer. Though a highly rated player known for his excellent passing, tough tackling and hard work on the field, Batty was also famous for treating football as his job and nothing more. He was notably unfazed after missing the decisive penalty that sent England out of the World Cup in 1998, and later described playing at the prestigious tournament as just another game in a different country. According to former teammate Alan Shearer, he'd be the last to turn up for training and the first to leave, and in the words of Ian Pearce, he played football because he was good at it. I don't think he really liked it that much. After hanging up his boots in 2004, Batty had zero desire to stay involved with the game and almost completely disappeared from the public eye. And when Blackburn Rovers organised a reunion for their 94-95 Premier League winning side in 2015, Batty was the only no-show. 2. Lewin Nyatanga. Unless you followed the championship in the late noughties and early 2010s, chances are you aren't familiar with Lewin Nyatanga. But as a youngster, he attracted a lot of hype, making his senior debut for Derby County at just 16 and becoming Wales' youngest debutant in 2006, around the same time that Gareth Bale was also coming through the ranks. However, within 12 years he'd already retired from the game, something he later described as a relief. In fact, the defender had already begun planning his retirement by his mid-20s, not long after being sold by his boyhood club to Bristol City in 2009, the moment he said he realised that football wasn't for him. Since hanging up his boots, Nyatanga now works in a gym and rarely goes to watch football, citing that he's got a number of better things to do on a Saturday afternoon, namely spending time with his family. And while he has generally been positive when talking about his professional career, the former Derby man is also honest about the downsides of the job, notably the fact that you can't switch off from it. He's also been critical of the atmosphere that exists within the game, whereby footballers are scared to be honest about their playing experience. Most strikingly, he claims to know a lot of players who hate the game, but don't say so because they're scared of the backlash. 1. Curtis Woodhouse. Like Nyatanga, former Sheffield United and Birmingham City midfielder Curtis Woodhouse also testifies that many footballers secretly dislike the sport, and he's certainly had an interesting relationship with it himself. The Englishman initially retired from the game at 26 to become a boxer, due to a love of fighting which had previously seen him fall the wrong side of the law, but returned to football part-time before hanging up his boots for good in his early 30s. He carried on with his boxing career, becoming British light welterweight champion in 2014, and has since returned to football again, this time as a manager, and is currently in the dugout at Northern Premier League outfit Gainsborough Trinity. But he has remained brutally honest when talking about his days as a professional. He claims his best years were when he was coming through the youth ranks, and that once he became a pro, he felt it was over, going on to say that if he'd had his time again, he would have retired at 21 or 22. In his words, "I loved the journey, I despised the destination. The more money I earned, the more I hated football. So those are our 10 footballers who hate the game, but who else can you think of who's fallen out of love with the sport? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, drop us a like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to never miss a video. We'll see you next time.